Welcome to CFO Inside TV. Corruption and fraud. One might think that few words sound more repulsive to the ears of CFOs than these. However, a recent report by Ernst comes up with some surprising findings as to the susceptibility of the finance function to unethical behavior. With us in the studio is David Stulb. He's the global leader of fraud investigation and dispute services at Ernst & Young, and he's here to discuss the research. Hello, David.
Morning.
Hey, David.
How are you?
Pretty good, thanks. David, could you please give me a quick update on the most important regulatory developments in the anti-corruption and anti-bribery space that have a bearing on European companies, maybe with a particular focus on the UK Bribery Act?
Sure. I think historically, if you're playing, and I'm going to assume we're talking about the public marketplace, public corporations. The FCPA, the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, has been around since 1977. A lot of iterations, and European registrants that are required to follow SEC guidance on the FCPA and public reporting. Many of them have been involved in investigations historically, so that in itself isn't that new. But I think for me, with the passage of the Bribery Act here in the UK, the changes in the form of leadership there over some fairly aggressive behavior by prosecutors, it has really put the corporate marketplace on notice.
Do you think is there anything new to say about the UK Bribery Act? How is it now being? How are companies adapting to it?
Well, I think the big corporates, we would like to believe already have good preventative messages in place. Many of the UK-based corporates do a lot of work in rapid growth markets or high risk markets. Is it perfect? No, but they've been through this before. So I think what the Bribery Act has done is clarified for UK public issuers that, one, the UK government's going to enforce. I think one of the statistics that we're all curious about is there has not been a major investigation yet. So I think David Green, the new head of the SFO, who's coming up to his first-year anniversary, has been pretty aggressive, saying that they will enforce. We're familiar with at least a half a dozen large cases that they're looking at right now, and I understand from listening to competitors and others in the marketplace, the legal bar, that there's probably 15 cases that they're looking at right now. And interesting enough,
taking a look at your research now, it suggests that a surprising proportion of CFOs seem willing to engage in unethical behavior. Are you worried about this result, and what do you think can be done to bring it down, the proportion?
Well, I think that was in our 12th Global Fraud Survey, and it was one of the statistics that came out as pretty shocking, because I think it was 15% of the CFOs said that they were aware of or may take positions that would be, my words, financially inappropriate and potentially illegal in order to maintain or sustain a business position. And when you have CFOs, and these were of public companies, that was the group, there's no way you can spin that in a positive way. So how I look at that is that since the 2008 economic crisis, we know corporates have been under a lot of pressure, meet analyst expectations to continue to grow. I think one of the findings was clear that, many used emerging markets. I like rapid growth markets, because really where corporates need to find good opportunities are in rapid growth markets. So Russia, China, India, Brazil, Africa, a number of African economies that have significant growth, political volatility, and instability. And you look at the Arab Spring in terms of the impact on the Middle East, that if you're not exercising pretty careful due diligence, you could find yourself in some significant trouble.
You were just talking about emerging markets. There's a lot of pressure at CFOs to increase investment in emerging markets, and of course that's likely to increase businesses' susceptibility to corruption. Do you think CFOs are given the risk of corruption enough thought, enough consideration when they're considering an investment in emerging markets?
I think, look, if you're a sophisticated player, you're top tier in your sector, and you've been in rapid growth or emerging markets for some time, you're going to have pretty good instincts as to what type of due diligence you need to do. I think it's where you rely on an operating subsidiary that is housed or operating in the rapid growth market where they may not be as sophisticated. So I think one of the things I urge when I speak to executive directors and non-exec directors is that, don't assume that your local operating subs are operating with the same rule book that you're operating with in London, Paris, or Frankfurt.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
David, thank you for being here. It's David Stulb, the Global Leader of Fraud Investigation and Dispute Services at Ernst & Young, and thank you for watching.